All right, you are listening to the second episode of the Dork Age podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about No Man's Sky, the new Rogue One trailer, Sausage Party, Pokemon and Pokedates, Final Fantasy 15.
I know you're mad about that one.
I'm very mad. And Rolling Stone's bullshit top 50 songs of the 90s article. All this and more.
This week
on the Dork Age podcast. Okay, so let's talk about No Man's Sky.
Yeah, brand new game came out last week.
That came out this week, technically, on Tuesday. Yep. Really hyped. It was announced 3 years ago. It's a pretty gargantuan undertaking.
Yeah,
especially for a development team of about 15 people. It is a procedurally generated universe with something like 18 quintillion planets that you can visit, with the creatures, the plant life, the atmospheres, all the planets. They're all procedurally generated, as well as the music on top of everything else. And so this is not a game that I would ever have thought that I would play. In fact, I bought it just for the purposes of doing Let's Plays and to review it for this very podcast. That being said, I can't stop playing it. I bought it for the PS4, thank God, because apparently the PC version is
virtually unplayable.
Literally unplayable. Actually, they've done a lot of fixes. And the cool thing about Hello Games is that they've been very vocal in addressing the problems of the game. So if we're thinking about like Niantic with Pokemon Go, they've been very quiet about addressing the problems, and everybody's flipping out. Everybody's flipping out about the PC version of No Man's Sky, and Hello Games is addressing them, and no one gives a shit. They're still like, fuck you, this game sucks. So it's like, you just can't win in this
There's
climate.
No way.
You can't win in the climate of gaming in the 2016 era.
Yeah, nobody's going to be happy.
Okay.
Just straight up.
So let's talk about the good things about the game. It's very breathtaking in some aspects. There's a lot of stuff to do, but it all basically boils down to survival. You're mining resources to stay alive on planets that may have harsh climates, aggressive life forms, and sentinels on each planet. Okay, there is space battle in it, and you can get hijacked by pirates. Not necessarily hijacked, but you'll get attacked, and they try to steal your cargo. There is kind of a storyline. What I've been doing is following the path of the Atlas. I know there's another storyline you can follow. I have been going the Atlas route. I've probably put in, I would say, 20 to 30 hours on this game. Yeah. It's pretty much every waking moment I have has been playing No Man's Sky. And that's the thing. Never could get into Minecraft. Okay. Never played a lot of just endless exploration games, but there's something about No Man's Sky that keeps me coming back. I really bought the game with the intention of, since it's a new game, I can still get at least half my money back if I traded it in. But I don't really plan on doing that. Especially since Hello Games has announced that they are going to support the game for quite a while with free updates and no paid DLC.
Nice.
Certain things that are going to be coming to the game are base building. You can fly freighters, and you can do a lot of other things that they're planning on bringing into the game. Now, PC issues aside, there are some other problems that the gaming community, especially the rabid No Man's Sky fan base, the pre-fan base, because everyone was like, this game is going to be so awesome.
The hype base.
The hype base, right. And, you know, whenever it was announced that the release date was going to be pushed back, there were people getting death threats just for making the announcement. Okay? So, and that's a whole other topic in and of itself. So the problem is that in interviews, Sean Murray of Hello Games stated that there would be certain features in the game at launch that aren't there. Okay? Multiplayer. The very first day of launch. And he said that it's doubtful that any players will actually run into each other. Well, there were 2 Twitch streamers that found each other and traveled to the same planet in the same location and couldn't see each other in the game. And that's kind of contradicts what Sean Murray had said. And he kind of, what's the word? Skirted the topic? Skirted the issue. Instead of addressing it, he was just like, oh, wow, 2 people found themselves. This is amazing. This is great. How I never would have thought this happened. But he wasn't like, hey, sorry, I guess we were a little unsure about it. And then people were like, well, no, it's server issues. And there's a lot of defenders of the game, but there is no multiplayer in it.
Right.
And there shouldn't, in a game like this, there shouldn't be multiplayer. Now, some of the criticisms of the game in and of itself is that, okay, so you run into alien races. There's 3 separate alien races in it. There's the Vy'keen, the Gek, and the Korvax. But you never find like highly densely populated areas. You just find little outposts and everything like that. There's a really funny Reddit post that I saved on here. I'm going to read it to you. I've been fairly active on the No Man's Sky subreddit, okay? And this one really got my attention. The title of the post is, I don't want to live in Sean Murray's future. Sean Murray is the main developer of this game.
Right.
This guy goes, talk about a sausage fest. Where are all the bitches at? Ain't seen one damn alien broad on one damn planet. What good is exploring the universe if I can't holla at some big-ass 4-titty bitch that don't understand a word I'm saying? You've learned the Vy'keen word for traveler? Yeah? What about the Vy'keen word for fuckstick or cum? Yeah, I got a special relationship with Vy'keen and nice horns and all playa, but I don't swing that way. The only special relationship I'm about is one with my dick and some Vy'keeny shorty. Keep an eye out, space pimps. You spot any squirrel out there, hit me up with some coordinates and shit. And remember, you ain't colonizing shit if you ain't colonizing some poontang. That's hilarious.
Hashtag Kirk fucks.
Hashtag Kirk fucks. And hey, why not? But who knows? That might be one of the features that get added later on in the game. Would I recommend the game? It really depends on what kind of game you're into. Okay, if you're into a space exploration game, then yeah, absolutely. But if you're not, I'd say probably give it a try anyway, because I wasn't into that kind of stuff and I really enjoyed it. I honestly think I've gotten my money's worth by now. It definitely is a very relaxing Zen-like experience, and I can say there's 2 times in my life that I've ever felt insignificantly small. And once is when I was standing on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean and couldn't see anything but water all around me. And the second time was whenever I played No Man's Sky and flew off the planet for the first time. It's a great game. And if you get a chance to play it on PS4 or PC, and you know, depending on the success of it, it may get ported to other systems. At this point, I don't know. It definitely has a very indie game feel to it. The developer is an indie developer. Sony did a deal with them, a distribution and marketing deal, and that's why it came out on the PS4 first.
Right.
A lot of people are complaining that, you know, this is an indie game with a AAA price tag, but when you consider the limitless possibilities to play, to me, it's worth it. If I had to break it down, that $60 divided by the amount of hours I've played, it's very affordable. Yeah. Very return on my investment, and I plan on playing a lot more. Ask me next week if I'm still playing, though. That's the thing, because it's still pretty fresh and it's still pretty new. Yeah. But No Man's Sky, I would give it maybe like. What would be our rating scale? Like out of 5, out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10, maybe a 3.5 out of 5, which I think is good. Okay, because considering that I'm mostly a casual gamer, there's a few games I'm pretty rabid about, one of which we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I recommend it. If, give it a shot. It's definitely innovative.
Mm-hmm.
It's very creative. It can be boring to some people, and I've noticed that some of the YouTube reviewers that I tend to watch a lot are like, no, this is boring, this is bullshit, this is lame. But then again, it's not Call of Duty.
Right.
So
I can't imagine that there is probably a lot of like let's play potential for it, because it does seem like it's a very solo oriented game, especially considering there is no multiplayer.
Right. And you know what? I was streaming it on the day of release, and we haven't gotten a whole lot of views. I mean, that may be because we're still a fledgling YouTube channel, but at the same time, would I want to watch other people play No Man's Sky? Probably not.
Yeah.
I would. That's something that I would want to. I like to play it, but that's not really something that I'd want to watch someone else play.
Yeah.
I think it would depend on the commentary.
Yeah.
Really, how entertaining is the person playing it?
But I mean, it's also like watching someone play Minecraft.
Right. But hey, there's some Minecraft channels out there that are huge.
Yeah.
There's Minecraft YouTubers that are making fat stacks. In fact, today and last night, I've pretty much been focusing on finding better ships.
Yeah.
So, basically you have to find a certain type of, I can't remember what it's called, but they've got the orange beams coming out of it. You have to craft a bypass chip and put it in there, search for a transmission tower, fly to the transmission tower, solve a small puzzle, and then it'll show you where the crashed ship is. You fly to the crashed ship. If it's got more slots than the one that you've got, then you want that ship. Transfer all your shit over to it, dismantle all of your tech so you can get those rare elements and stuff into that new ship, and then you have to repair that ship. And you definitely kind of get a feel, especially, after 10, 15, 20 hours into the game, exactly what elements you're going to need to find a crashed ship and make it fly. You don't have to have everything fixed on it, but your launch thrusters, your deflector shield, and your pulse engine, they need to be in good working order.
Yeah.
But most planets I've been on they've been able to have all that stuff readily available to make it fly. Now, you can also categorize plants and animals, and you can rename them and upload them to the servers. And I did that a little bit at first, but now I just don't give a shit about naming them. But I still upload everything because you get credits for it. And then there's been a few planets I found that have a lot of rare materials. I found a moon that have these things called vortex cubes that sell for about 30,000 space dollars. I don't know, just units is what it's called. A piece. So I actually named the moon Vortex Cube. So anybody who goes into that galaxy and they see that moon and it'll say it was discovered by me and the name of the moon is Vortex Cubes, there's going to be some good stuff on that moon.
You're a champion.
I'm helping people out. And I think I would hope more people would do stuff like that. I have yet to find a system or a planet that has been discovered by another player yet. And I've been playing a lot.
Well, again, 18 quintillion possible planets.
And the developer said there's a 99.9% of the planets out there are going to go undiscovered in this game. So we'll see. I'm curious as to the shelf life of this game. Are people still going to be playing it 5-10 years from now? This may be one of those Minecraft-like games for a certain niche audience that may still be playing it. There might be people out there who are just like, I'm all about exploring as much as I can and building this database.
And you had mentioned like some of the potential additions coming to the game, like building bases. Like, I mean, if they legitimately get to the point where you can like straight up colonize planets and stuff that you have discovered, like create your own empire and, branch out from there. I mean, obviously this is pie in the sky stuff. But
and I think to do that, they would need to totally revamp the economy of the game, because right now it's pretty cookie cutter. You can fly into some space stations, and then there's some trading posts in the planets. And basically, certain things sell for more in certain parts of the galaxy, and certain things sell for less, and they'll buy things at certain prices, but it's pretty much the same stuff.
Right.
I remember I was looking for, I was 5 units of iridium away from repairing my warp reactor and just couldn't find it until I found a crashed ship that had a warp reactor, and I dismantled it and took that and fixed my own.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. It's not like just every space station trading post you go into is going to have everything you need. It's definitely not like that. It's a slow burn of a game.
Yeah.
And really maxed out, I guess, on PS4 at least at 30 frames per second, which we already know that the PS4 is capable of more. And a lot of people are complaining about that. But what I've heard people saying is if you're upset about this game at 30 frames per second, you're already playing it too fast. It's just a very relaxing, slow experience. And the music, too, is pretty incredible.
Well, yeah. I mean, the fact that it's procedurally generated, that sounded amazing to me. Like, because I knew that all the worlds and all of the galaxies and everything that you find on the planets...
the spaceships, the creatures, the aliens... Everything is.
But the fact that they procedurally generate the music while you're playing it sounds amazing to me.
Well, apparently one of the guys that created this music generation program got in touch with Hello Games after he saw the announcement and was like, "Hey, I got this for you. This is going to be awesome." And so they incorporated it into the game, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about No Man's Sky.
I mean, I told you that
playing it some more. That's for sure.
Like I told you that it looked like it's right up my alley.
Yeah,
but I'm an Xbox gamer, so
I'm a PS4 gamer.
Yeah, so
we may never know. All right, so we're gonna move on. We'll talk a little bit about some Star Wars stuff now. Okay, so a couple days ago, a new trailer for Rogue One dropped. So, what are your initial opinions on the Rogue One movie in general?
The Rogue One movie in general, just across the board, looks like it's gonna be awesome.
Right.
But I also, am just a straight up huge Star Wars nerd. So
and as am I. Whenever they announced Rogue One, which was shortly after I believe filming for The Force Awakens had started, and I was super, super pumped about Force Awakens, and it didn't let me down.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But whenever I heard the premise, it's just going to be the people that stole the plans for the Death Star, honestly, wasn't too impressed with the premise. I was like, it's probably just going to be a bunch of X-Wing space battle fighters stuff, and I was just like, whatever. I'm not really that excited about that.
Yep.
Then I saw the first trailer, and I was like, whoa, this actually looks really fucking cool, and actually has that look of A New Hope, that universe and that old school look to it. And then with this new trailer, I'm just even more hyped for it. One thing that I've noticed is Forrest Whitaker's hair is a little different in this one than the first one. And I'm wondering if that has something to do with the reshoots, or if this is going over a extended period of time for this movie. Also, there's the blind dude. I don't know what his name is, and he talks about using the Force. Is he a Jedi? Do we know? Is he going to fight Darth Vader? Is that battle going to be awesome? Who knows? This is definitely, it's a prequel to A New Hope. This is going to bridge that gap. In the cinematic universe. I know that there's that Rebels series, which I haven't watched at all, but apparently Forrest Whitaker's character is in that.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the name. I can't get into I tried to watch the Clone Wars series, and I haven't even tried to watch Rebels. I probably should.
Yeah.
But, so... What are some things that stand out to you as far as the Rogue One trailer goes?
Well, you had mentioned the blind guy who talks about the Force, and like this article that I'm reading right now it says that he's not a Force user, but he is someone that
is he Force sensitive?
He might be, but he's definitely at the very least somebody that has a respect for the Jedi teachings and stuff. So. Probably not a Jedi, but you never know.
Right.
Also, I like that he's played by freaking Ip Man, Donnie Yen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, like I watched the first one last week when my cousin was visiting, because I'd never watched any of those movies, and I was like, shit, the choreography of those movies is amazing.
Maybe
Donnie
I'll have
Yen
to check
is,
it out.
yeah, Donnie Yen, an outstanding martial artist. So, yeah.
So this will be our first Star Wars movie outside of the episodic Star Wars movies. It's a Star Wars story, and there's going to be more, and it seems like what the game plan is for Disney is there's going to be a like spin-off movie in between the episodic movies. Okay, so we had The Force Awakens, now we have Rogue One, then we'll have whatever episode 9 is going to be, then we're going to have...
it was 8.
Is it 8?
Yeah, because there's
5, 6, 7. Yeah, whatever episode 8 is. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
Okay, now... It's funny because you and I were at the bar the other night, and you were talking about how Lando Calrissian is supposed to be in it, and we were talking about who we would cast as a young Lando Calrissian. I said Michael B. Jordan because I don't know a lot of young black actors. He was the first one.
Triggered.
I'm sorry.
Trigger.
I'm sorry. And you mentioned
Donald Glover.
And then
lo and behold,
next day, it was announced that he's either in talks or being pursued for the role of a young Lando Calrissian. So you might be psychic.
It's entirely possible. The other name that occurred to me when we were talking about that, I mean, Donald Glover popped in immediately, but the other one that came to me was Chadwick Boseman, who plays Black Panther in Civil War and obviously in the upcoming Black Panther movie.
Right.
Disney already kind of has their hooks in Chadwick Boseman right now. So it's possible.
The only other young black actor I would think of that they could cast would be John Boyega.
Don't think that would work too.
But think about this. It could work perfectly. So listen to this, man. John Boyega plays a young Lando Calrissian. And you're like, wow, he kind of looks like Finn from The Force Awakens. And then we find out that Finn is the son of
or a straight
Lando
up clone
Calrissian, or a clone, because hey, the technology exists. And just bring it all around full circle, man.
Dude, you just blew my freaking mind.
Blew your freaking mind, dude. So in other Star Wars news, unfortunately, Mr. Kenny Baker, the actor who was inside the
R2-D2 shell,
yes, in the R2-D2 suit, has passed away. Now, was he in the R2-D2 suit in Force Awakens?
I think he was.
Didn't really move around a lot.
Well, I mean, R2-D2 didn't move around a lot.
Well, and at this point, with technology the way it is, do we need an actor inside an R2-D2 suit to bring it to life?
I mean, obviously not, because the prequels did it. I mean, I think Kenny Baker was in the R2-D2 shell for like the scenes where there was an actual R2-D2 shell, but for the most part, R2 was CGI in the prequels because fucking everything in the prequels was CGI, and that's part of why they were terrible.
Even like Yoda was a puppet when it came out for the theatrical release, but when they re-released it on like DVD and Blu-ray, they even CGI'd over that.
Yeah.
It was like George Lucas was like, I just can't get enough. Can't get enough of those computer-generated graphics. And, you know, we could talk all day about how much the prequels suck, but I will tell you this. Doing entire scenes on green screen and having actors react to things that aren't there definitely hurt their performances. Because people like Samuel L. Jackson, they're not bad actors.
Of course not.
But they are in Star Wars. Okay. Also, he's a horrible actor in The Spirit, which was another almost entirely CGI movie. So I think, you know, for the actor's performance sake, you've got to have some of that realism. And that's what I loved about The Force Awakens. That's what I love about the Rogue One trailer, is because they're using real sets, they're using real locations, and they're using real tangible things that you can see.
Practical
effects. And that really, I think, drives home the point that practical effects aren't going to go away. And they're not going to be entirely replaced by CGI, because there's just that certain feel, the uncanny valley. You can't, you know, we can't interpret it in our minds as real when we know it's so fake.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it's difficult to tell, but you know that it has to be fake. Like, the Doctor Strange trailer. And, before we get into Sausage Party, which I believe we're going to talk about here in
we'll
a
talk about
bit.
Sausage Party next.
But we saw the Doctor Strange trailer again before Sausage Party.
Yes.
And it still looks so amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's
But maybe
all
because
CGI.
it's in the hands of a competent director as well.
Possibly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know anything about the history of Star Wars, A New Hope was a mess, and it was saved through editing. And then Irvin Kershner directed Empire Strikes Back.
Exactly.
George Lucas didn't, and then they had someone else direct Return of the Jedi. But then George Lucas came back and directed the prequels, and that's probably why they fucking suck so bad.
Yeah.
And plus, since Star Wars was such a juggernaut cultural phenomenon, no one's there to tell him this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
They're just like, it's Star Wars. Of course it's going to be great.
But George, maybe
George,
don't.
no.
That's Jar Jar Binks, no.
So we'll see. Also, we mentioned it last week that apparently Jimmy Smits' character is returning, and so that's going to be one of those things that's going to bridge the gap between the prequels and the new or the original trilogy, aside from Darth Vader. We're talking about new characters that were introduced into the prequels that are going to be into this. Interesting to see how that goes. And I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see it, and you'll definitely hear our opinions on it because we'll be there opening.
Oh yeah,
opening weekend. Opening day, whatever. All right, so. We'll talk about the next thing. And speaking of CGI movies, we'll talk about Sausage Party because I have a lot that I want to say about
All right.
Sausage Party.
I'm looking forward to this.
So we're going into it right now. Okay. So we both saw Sausage Party at different times. And I liked it. Okay. I have some issues with the movie. And there's certain issues I had with it that I didn't think I would. And kind of makes me feel like I'm becoming an old man. So let's hear your opinions on some of your initial reactions first.
Alrighty. Okay, so overall, I thought it was a very funny movie. I mean, it's very childish, it's very juvenile in places.
16-year-olds are gonna love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the new Friday. Okay, I was 16 when Friday came out.
Especially 16-year-olds who think they're intellectuals. Because the movie is going to seem very deep to them.
Right. Yeah, and we're definitely going to get into that aspect of it. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned that it kind of made me feel like an old man. Because here's the issue that I have with Sausage Party that I didn't think I would. Is that the language was excessive. Okay? And you're laughing.
You are old then. Damn, man.
You're laughing. And I cuss all the time, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm watching it first 10 minutes. It's fuck. Every other word.
I mean,
it
even
just
in
makes
that
me
opening
feel
musical scene.
Yeah, and honestly, it just made me feel like we're doing an R-rated animated feature, and we're gonna just milk it with fucks as much as we can. And to me, what that makes me feel like is that. Fuck is a filler word, okay? Like rappers that say, and songwriters that have to say fuck just to have a syllable in there to get to the next part of the verse. That just shows poor writing ability, okay? For example, Red Hot Chili Peppers. They say motherfucker just as a way to get them from here to there, I gotta warn you about the motherfucking girls of California.
Yeah.
That's how it is, know, and it's just like, I've got to put some syllables in there, so why not the word fuck? Okay? But this is like, we're making an adult movie, and we're just gonna say fuck every other word. That aside, I mean, a lot of scenes were hilarious. The horror movie scene when they finally get into the kitchen, I was wondering when that part was gonna happen.
Right.
Because that was from the first trailer. That was incredible. A lot of the what am I trying to say? Like the foods that represent different races was great. And they really don't, they don't hold back on anybody.
I loved that Edward Norton was the bagel.
Right. I didn't see that coming at all.
Like, I didn't recognize his voice throughout the entire movie.
Seth Rogen was really one of the only voices I recognized because I knew Danny McBride was in it, And I had to go back and look to see which one he played because Danny McBride has a very familiar voice and way of speaking.
Gotta get a motherfucking scholarship.
He was Honey Mustard.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Really. He was Honey Mustard. And I was like, I'll have to see that movie again just to see if that makes sense as being
right.
Danny McBride. But okay, so the racial thing was very clever, and the Muslim and Jewish bagel friendship thing, and the whole allegory of like sharing the aisle and with the Holy Land and like the Israel type thing, that was great.
Well, I mean, because the whole thing, and I'm sure that we will get further into it a little bit later, but I mean, the whole thing is just an allegory about religion
and atheism.
Yeah,
and basically about how we should embrace atheism, but also it's about not being a dick,
being an atheist. Yes,
and
exactly.
So here's where Sausage Party can do some good, because I am an atheist. All right. But one of the problems and one of the reasons that I
don't talk about it,
and that for a long time I identified as an agnostic, is because other atheists make us look bad because they are so quick to challenge other people's
Richard
faith.
Dawkins is a fucking asshole.
Right. And I've sat there and listened in person to atheists just challenging other people's faith. And if you've grown up in a religious household like I did, people take that very seriously.
Absolutely.
And it's very offensive to them when you challenge their faith in a way that it's basically saying you're stupid because you believe this. And I don't do that.
Exactly.
Have you ever heard me do that?
Not once.
Right. So that, I was like, if this just saves one neckbeard from being a fucking asshole atheist, then this movie has done its job.
It's already done something better for the world.
Right. But it's also shining the light on, we can't fuck until we get to the great beyond and all these like sin, and sin and all these things, which leads us into the ending of the movie. Which honestly, watching the ending in a packed movie theater, I felt like I feel embarrassed just filthy. To be in the same room as all these other people that are watching the same thing go down as I am. I was like, oh my God, this is just dirty. Which even again makes me sound like a fucking prude, and I'm not. And you know me, I'm not a prude, but at the same time, I'm just like, wow. Because I mean, I wouldn't watch porn with other people, and this was as close to animated porn as we're gonna get as far as a mainstream release.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard that it did get an NC-17 rating at first because of a pubic hair on the Muslim burrito dude, Lavash.
Yeah.
And they had to edit that out to get an R rating. And I was like, that's the thing. A pubic hair is what's going to keep you from an R to an NC-17 movie. What kind of staying power do you think this movie's going to have?
That's actually a really interesting question. I don't know. Because, I mean, I saw it once. I don't think that I need to see it again.
Right. It might be something that I, when it comes out like online or on DVD or HBO or whatever, it might be something to have on in the background. It may be something to revisit 5 years later or something. But at the same time, it's not one of those movies that I'm just going to be like, oh, everyone needs to see this.
Yeah.
Would I recommend it to my mother? No. Absolutely not. Would I recommend it to anyone under the age of like 18? Probably not, but that the young kids are going to get their hands on it and they're going to love it. They're absolutely going to love it. It's going to be one of those movies. I remember like when Clerks came out and it was so filthy. Just the dialogue was so filthy and it was all I could think about. And that's what made me the Kevin Smith fan that I am. But I think we all have one of those movies when we're a teenager that's just so adult, but at the same time appeals to you. Like, Friday. It came out when I was in junior high school.
Yeah.
And then, movies like Clerks and stuff like that, where the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, oh my God, that's going to be some people's favorite movies.
Yeah.
Because I look back at movies that I used to like whenever I was a kid that I loved, like Billy Madison and Ace Ventura and stuff. If I had seen those movies today as a 35-year-old man, almost 35, I would be like, this is stupid.
It's so childish.
Yeah. But, when when
It's
movies,
those
when a movie
formative
like that
years
hits you at the right time, you know, it definitely has an impact on you. And hey, we may get more atheists out of it, which can't be a bad thing because, you know, atheists don't crash planes into buildings and they don't behead people and they don't, you know, do all this.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Richard Dawkins.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as would you recommend Sausage Party? It just depends on the person. Really.
Yeah. I mean, and I fel like there are some people that probably do need to see it at least for that message. But I mean, it's the same thing about not being the dick kind of atheist,
right? And it's a lot of fun. There's just a lot of good jokes in it. There's some jokes that fall flat. There's some scenes that just kind of like, what the fuck? Like when the stoner junkie dude's head just pops out of the AC duct, and then from then on, it's just like, what the fuck? And then the orgy scene at the end, it's definitely, I mean, it's got a very Team America vibe to it. And, you know, I mean, I would recommend it only to certain people.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't recommend it to anybody older than me. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that's overly religious. Did you see any young people in the movie theater? Because I think I saw some people who looked like they were under 18.
No, and we went to see it at like 4:00 on a Saturday.
Right. I mean, I could only imagine some idiot parent bringing their young kids in. And then
the same thing happened with
demanding
Deadpool.
Their money back.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Deadpool.
And you know what? That brings me to another point. 2016 has been a pretty incredible year for movies, if you think about it, in the fact that we had one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time, true to the comic Deadpool adaptation. And then we have a movie like Sausage Party, which has the look of maybe a Pixar CGI animated movie in the same year. And it just seems like more and more, hopefully these kind of movies will get greenlit and, you know, be able to appeal to an older movie-going audience, because PG-13 is the norm for movies these days. I don't see a lot of movies that come out that are even rated PG unless they are specifically intended for children. Yeah.
And I mean, the very fact that PG now is the new G, because you never see any G-rated movies anymore.
I don't even remember the last even seeing a trailer for a G-rated movie in a long time. So if you're listening out there and if you can tell me what the last G-rated movie...
Well, and granted, like, we tend to not go see movies that are going to have trailers before them that are for G-rated movies.
Well, and that's the thing. I like kids' movies. And, you know, honestly, if you're in the mood to go see a movie and you can't decide, hey, an animated movie is probably going to be your best bet. One of my favorite movies that have been made for children within the last 5 years is Wreck-It Ralph. I absolutely
that is an amazing movie.
Adore that movie. Yeah. First of all, because I love video games and I love Sarah Silverman, and yeah, and it's great. And I will be at the theater to see
Wreck-It Ralph,
the Wreck-It Ralph sequel.
Yeah,
I never saw Finding Nemo, but I know a lot of people my age that went and saw Finding Dory.
Oh, I did.
Right? Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah, and so those are definitely going to have an audience, and they're definitely going to appeal to people of all ages, even if you don't have children.
Yeah.
But that also, I think, the success amongst adults for movies like Finding Nemo and Finding Dory and movies like Wreck-It Ralph just paved the way for Sausage Party, because a CGI animated movie is not cheap to make.
No.
Right? So just the fact that even got greenlit and funded and a national theatrical release is pretty incredible if you think about it.
I mean, and it did take, like 3 years to actually get made because, I mean, they had to secure the funding. They had to find a distributor.
And then just doing all that animation, it just takes a long time. So anything else you want to say about Sausage Party before we move on?
Well, okay. So earlier you had mentioned... like seeing a specific movie, like at the right time. Right. And I feel like for me, that was me being introduced to South Park. And
Okay.
I was probably about 10 because
I was in high school when South Park came out.
Because, I mean, it was 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So I was about 10 or 11.
Then I was in high school. I graduated in 99. So, yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
like...
so old.
But, like that is just the ridiculous aspects of early South Park. And then, like... that has continued to be a formative voice in my life.
Yeah, and it's
for the last nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, I think someone said the other day that it was like the 19th anniversary of South Park premiering or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And to think that animated series can last that long. I mean, Simpsons is still on.
Still on, yeah.
And I remember a time before Simpsons, but it wasn't very long before, because I remember maybe second or third grade.
Yeah. I think
talking
I was
about Bart Simpson and everything, and I mean Simpsons. I mean, you're younger than me, so yeah. Do you remember a time that the Simpsons wasn't a thing?
No, because I was 2 or 3 when the Simpsons premiered in 89 or 90, and no.
Yeah.
I don't remember a life before The Simpsons existed.
Now, do I watch The Simpsons anymore?
No.
No. And at this point, it seems like it's maybe just like this legacy series that they're just never going to cancel just because.
It's like General Hospital.
It's like Bones. Bones is still on.
It's still on.
Who watches Bones?
This weekend, is Bones still a thing?
Yeah.
Bones is still a thing, you guys.
Moving on. Like, I don't know anybody who watches Bones, but apparently it's been on for like 13, 14 years. It's just, it just blows my mind every time I hear something about Bones being renewed for another season or something. I'm just like,
I saw something the other day from the president of the CW network, and he's like, yeah, Supernatural is going to be around long after I'm gone. He's like, I'm not going to be here when Supernatural is canceled. I will have retired by then.
And you know what? I've never watched Supernatural either, but hey, I know people that like that show. So
I like that show.
Well, there you go.
Pretty good.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit about Pokemon.
This weekend, Pokemon Go next.
Yes. Okay, so Pokemon Go. I really haven't played a lot this week.
Yeah, me neither.
I haven't really gotten anything
but
new.
You have a reason. No Man's Sky.
I've been playing No Man's Sky a lot, and then, since this is the second episode of the podcast, I've spent a lot of time cutting up the old episode and putting them on to YouTube, and I have this thing, and this is what I did when I had my old podcast a couple years ago, is when I finish an episode, I immediately download it to my phone, and that's what I listen to on the way to work, because sometimes the best audio quality that you can find, and a lot of audio engineers will tell you this when they're recording songs, is that they go and they take it out and play it in their car. So that's what I do, is I'll listen to our podcast on the way to work just to make sure everything sounds good.
Yeah.
And really just haven't really gotten that involved in Pokemon Go, but what I want to talk about is the whole Pokemon dating thing, because I mentioned last week that I'd been on a few Poke dates, but it's not like there's actually a couple of different companies that specialize in Poke dates. I'm talking about a girl that I've been dating that me and her go out and do
you guys
Pokemon.
Just go play Pokemon.
Right,
yeah.
But no, there's a company out here, projectfixup.com, has this thing called Poke Dates now.
Yeah.
And it's got to catch them all together, and it's crazy. So here's how it works. You answer a few questions. You tell them about yourself and what you seek in a Pokemate. Okay. One of our specialists will review your Poke profile. It's already getting a little redundant, isn't it?
Yeah.
You share your schedule. Let us know when you're free, and we'll start searching for someone you can explore and battle with. Confirm your Poke date. You'll get an email with details about your Poke match and a time and place to meet your first Poke date is free. So, hey, you get to do
your
one for free.
Your first Poke date is free.
And then just show up, right place and time, and you can catch them all together on your Poke date. And then there's another one here, and it's pokedates.io. Let me open this up real quick.
Yeah, that's the one that I think I sent to you. Because I had just Googled it. Because you had mentioned that you kind of wanted to talk about it for this week's show. And so I just kind of Googled it really quickly. And the Project Fix Up, I think, was the first one.
And
listed.
This is join the largest Pokemon Go dating site. So they're claiming to be the largest. So that means that there's more than one.
Yeah.
And this one, it says, what is Pokedate? It's a free dating website. So this one's free.
Yeah.
Where Pokemon Go trainers can find, match, message, and meet up with nearby Pokemon Go trainers. Just click register at the top, complete your profile.
Although I did look through their list of members, and they were all dudes. Yeah. Every single one of them.
Well,
was a dude.
That's, I think, what I've done the online dating thing before. And I think that's what you're going to find with just about anything is that there's going to be definitely more men out there than women doing it. Even though, what did you say, 60%?
Yeah, 60% of Pokemon Go players are women.
Are women.
Yeah.
So maybe there should be a Pokemon lesbian dating service. I mean, I'm sure you can find another. If you're a woman, you can find a woman to play Pokemon with. Through, Project Fix Up or through Pokedate.io. But let me ask you this, Chris, if you were single, would you consider signing up for Pokedate?
You know, I might. It could be fun.
Yeah, it might be fun.
I mean, because you and the lady that you are dating have gone, like you said, on a lot of Pokedates. You guys have had a lot of fun. It also doesn't hurt that you live really close to the campus.
Right, and we like to be drunk when we do it too. It's awesome.
But I mean, it does sound like it could be a lot of fun. So I absolutely see the appeal, and obviously these companies do too, or they wouldn't be trying to cash in on it.
Well, I think honestly that anything that's going to have like a huge cultural social impact is going to have people trying to cash in some way.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, I went to the grocery store the other day, and there were Team Mystic, Valor, and Instinct T-shirts for sale at the grocery store, which means somebody went to a screen printing shop or has their own screen printing equipment and made these and put them up for sale because of the popularity of the game. Did I buy one? No. But I'm sure there other people would have. They weren't there the second time I went, and that was about a week later, so either they quit selling them or they sold out.
Yeah.
Who knows? But they're there. I mean, and if you scroll through Facebook, there is tons of Pokemon crap on there. They've got Pokemon Go. They're using Pokemon Go to advertise portable phone chargers. They're using Pokemon Go, like they're selling the Team Valor, Mystic, and Instinct shirts and hats and bracelets and backpacks and just whatever you can slap a logo on.
Yeah.
Now, of course, is that copyright infringement? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And when they get caught, and that's the thing is Nintendo is not stingy, or I'm sorry, is very stingy with their intellectual property. I mean, you can't even do Let's Plays on YouTube of a Nintendo game without giving them a cut of your revenue, which is a little extreme, but whatever.
It's their policy.
It's their business. They are allowed to run it the way they want. So that's kind of, I don't know. You're just gonna get people that are gonna cash in on that. So I'd be interested to see if, maybe a few years down the line, like, so How I Met Your Mom? Well, we signed up for Pokedate. And they're like, what? And it's just going to be funny. But that being
much shorter season of How I Met Your Mother.
Right. But that being said, it's, a very social game. And you do run into people that are playing it if you're out playing it actively.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, but you do kind of have to be out playing it actively. Like you and I right now kind of slacking off.
Kind of slacking off. This may be the last episode of This Week in Pokemon Go. Who knows? Unless something major happens. Yeah. Right. But there's still people out there. And I think there's definitely going to be people out there that are just going to play it religiously, just like anything. Everything is going to have their rabid fan base.
Oh yeah, the guy that owns the game shop here in town's like level 35 or something now.
Jesus.
Yeah,
he's going to be playing nonstop. Wow. All right, so that's enough of Pokemon Go. We're going to talk about another game franchise that I'm very passionate and upset about right now. Okay, so it was announced today Final Fantasy 15 has been delayed. Oh no. It was originally slated to come out September 30th. Now, the news of this delay was reported by Gamnesia. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Citing sources at GameStop, and they actually posted a picture of a Final Fantasy 15 display that says, if you've already got this up, please put this sticker that will show the new release date. And it's been pushed back from September 30th to November 29th.
I mean, it's, what, a month?
It's 2 months. It's 2 months because there's October in between September and November.
But it's right at the beginning of November, though.
No, so it's November 29th.
Oh, 29th?
Yeah.
I thought you said 2nd.
No.
Because September I don't listen 30th to anything.
To November 29th.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, man. I'm a Final Fantasy fan, and I love the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy VII is arguably one of the best games ever made.
Yeah. Okay, so do you know the website Game FAQs, Game Facts?
I've heard of it. I don't know.
They do a poll every single year. What is the best game of all time?
Right.
It's a visitor poll. You can just show up, you vote for it. Every year for the nearly 20 years that Game Facts has been around, Final Fantasy VII and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. One of those two is always number one.
Well, here's the thing with Final Fantasy VII. I have bought that game more than any other game.
Yeah, I have bought that game like 4 or 5 times.
I bought it for PC first, okay? Then I bought it for the PlayStation 1 when the Greatest Hits Edition came out. And then I bought it again for PC whenever they did like an updated PC version of it years later. Then I bought it for the PS3. Then I bought it again for the PS4. So I've paid money for this game 5 times and love it. And I don't regret it at all, especially now that you can get it for like $5 to $7.
Yeah.
And the Final Fantasy remake is coming out, which I'm totally going to buy that too.
Absolutely.
No
gonna happen in my life.
Right. And the reason that I bought a PlayStation 4 in the first place was because I knew Final Fantasy 15 was coming out. I'm not a PC gamer. You know, say what you will about PC gaming. I understand 60 frames per second and
master race,
and
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'm not a PC gamer anymore. I used to be. But that's why I bought. That was the thing. When I saw the first trailer for Final Fantasy 15 2 years ago, I was like, I gotta get a PS4. Yeah. That was the driving force behind getting the PS4 was Final Fantasy 15. I have vacation days coming up September 30th, October 1st, and October 2nd to take a 3-day weekend just so I can play Final Fantasy 15, and now I'm going to have to go do something else with my vacation time.
Oh, no.
Well, luckily in October I get 2 more weeks, so I can still take vacation around November. Maybe I'll do 4 days, who knows. But that was going to be, I mean, September 30th is the day after my birthday, and I was like, all right, Final Fantasy 15 is coming out, and it's coming out right around my birthday. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be a birthday present to me from the world. And now I have to wait 2 more months to play it. Whenever it was originally announced, it wasn't even supposed to be Final Fantasy 15. It was originally called Final Fantasy Versus 13.
Yeah.
And let's see. So Final Fantasy 13, when did that come out? Let me look it up real quick.
I think it was 2013, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think it's more than 3 years old. So, let's see. Let me look it up.
God, actually, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I liked Final Fantasy 13.
I didn't hate it.
I liked it. And I played Final Fantasy 13 too.
I liked 13 too better than I liked 13.
March 2010. Okay.
Wow,
was when Final Fantasy 13 came out. So when did Final Fantasy A Realm Reborn? And that's the thing is I skipped 11 and I played a little bit of
the
14.
MMOs.
Yeah, because I'm just not into MMOs that much.
Right.
Especially subscription ones. That's why the only reason I started playing Elder Scrolls Online is because it's...
Yeah, I mean, it's a straight up, you buy the game. And
so yeah, Final Fantasy 14 Online was released in 2010 as well.
Huh.
So we haven't got an episode of Final Fantasy, a new episode.
That is not related to a previous installment.
In 6 fucking years.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time, damn it. And I swear to God, if this gets pushed back again till the 2017, oh my God, I'll be mad. But the thing that's interesting about this game is, so, you know, the older Final Fantasy games, they take place in more of a past setting. Okay. Yeah. And then you've got games like Final Fantasy 6 and 7, which took place more in a futuristic setting. This one has a lot more of a modern feel. Now, I bought Final Fantasy Typo HD and played the Final Fantasy 15 playable demo, and it's very much got a modern feel. Of course, there's like flying stuff, and there's some futuristic elements, but this feels the most modern out of the series from what I've seen so far. Plays a lot like Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
Yes. If you're a fan of that series.
Yeah, very big fan of that
So if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts and you're a fan of Final Fantasy, this is the game for you. Looks absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So what does that say? about the game, though, if they're pushing it back 2 more months. Is it broken? Is it going to be literally unplayable whenever I buy it day of release? What's going on? Or maybe, and that's the thing. How, and the same thing with No Man's Sky being pushed back. And I don't know anything about video game production, okay? But I would assume that when you're coming up to a month and a half away from release of a game, you should be in production. You should be printing those Blu-rays and printing those box art.
2 months out from release, stuff, you would think so.
So what is this 2 months buffer going to do? Okay, is the game in production and being printed right now, and the 2 months start or stall time, is that in order to program a day one patch?
Well,
that we're going to have to download? Because here's the thing.
Certainly.
Well, here's the thing, though. Since I bought a PlayStation 3, not one Final Fantasy game have I had to download any kind of patch for. They have worked out of the box. You put it in, boom, you're playing it. Final Fantasy 13, nothing. Final Fantasy 13-2, nothing. Typo HD, nothing. There was no patch that you had to download. And that's why I was always like, Square Enix is the shit. They release games that work. Yeah. At the beginning.
They've got their shit together.
So maybe they are, maybe they haven't gone into production yet. I don't know. I don't know what all goes into that sort of thing. Can they print 1 million copies and box it and seal it and put it in cases and ship it out in a matter of a week? Who knows? If you know, leave us a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. If there are any game developers out there that happen to be listening.
Or if you work at a factory that prints that stuff. Yeah. I don't know. But I want to know. Yeah. I just really, I took vacation.
Guys, seriously. Play it. Eric took vacation, so...
Come on, Square Enix.
Get your shit together.
Get your fucking shit together. All right. So let's move on. We'll talk about something a little different now. So, Chris, you sent me this list.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this list.
Okay, so it's Rolling Stone released their 50 best songs of the 90s. You and I are both children of the 90s. I was actually born in 81, so I remember the 90s quite well. I graduated in 1999. You were probably a little bit younger.
Yeah, I was born in the later part of the 80s.
Now, this is the top 50 songs of the 90s. And a lot of this stuff I've never heard of. Okay, so for example, number 50, Fuzzy, Flashlight. Never heard of it.
What?
Yeah. The band is called Fuzzy, and the song is called Flashlight. Silver Jews, number 46, Random Rules. Don't know what Silver Jews is.
Never heard of that.
Let's see. What's another... See, Ace of Base, The Sign. I mean, I've heard of that, obviously. I remember that song came out. It's a big hit. But some of the songs that were left off the list, really? Sebado, Brand New Love. I don't know what that is. Maybe if I heard it. Ghetto Boys, though. I was like, yeah, I love the Ghetto Boys. Mind Playing Tricks on Me is a great song. Is it one of the best songs of the 90s? I don't know. Let's see. Helium, Triple X. I don't know that song. Do you know that song?
No.
Underworld, Born Slippy. Never heard of it. But Baby Got Back is on here. But, going through this list, I don't recall a single Alice in Chains song on here. Natalie Imbruglia, Torn. That was huge.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Harvey Danger, Flagpole Sitta. I hear that all the time on the radio still. That's a good song. Yeah. Wonderwall. Oh, God. And the thing is like, there were better Oasis songs than Wonderwall. For sure. So you've got like Loser by Beck, Whitney Houston. I think I just accidentally skipped way far into the list. Because I'm already in like number 16. Rosa Parks by Outkast is a great song. But like REM Night Swimming, I know REM's hit songs. I don't recognize that song.
Yeah, that one doesn't sound familiar to me, based just on the name.
A Whole Song, number 11? Really? Okay. All right. No Scrubs, number 10. No Scrubs, the 10th best song is in the 90s by TLC. Hey, I like TLC. Yeah. I like that song. But really? Number 10? Really? Liz Phair. I've heard of Liz Phair. fucking run. Okay, obviously that song ain't getting played on the radio.
Yeah,
it's number 9. Okay, Pavement. I don't know that. Maybe I'm just musically illiterate. Bikini Girl or Bikini Kill, Rebel Girl. Never heard of that song.
Yeah.
Number 4. Blackstreet, No Diggity, number 2. First of all, I love that song. Second best song of the 90s? No, not the second best song of the 90s. I mean, and that's the thing is I don't know if I could do a top 50. I mean, I'd have to sit down and really, really think about what my top 50 favorite songs. But number 1 on the list, I have a problem with, and it's Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit. I can't think of a more overrated band than Nirvana. And I may get a lot of hate in the comments or whatever, but I mean, really, Nirvana to me is very mediocre. And
I mean, Kurt Cobain didn't have a good singing voice,
and he wasn't that great of a guitar player either. When was the last time you heard Kurt Cobain just, rip out a blazing guitar solo? How about never?
is never an option. Yeah,
is never a thing because that's
how often.
That's the number. Is not once. So I don't know. I mean, Nirvana may have been one of those bands that just came around at the right time. Whenever the tide of the alternative rock scene was coming on and the grunge thing. But let me tell you, some of my favorite bands from the 90s, especially out of that alternative era, would be Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, 2 of which I don't recall seeing either of them on the list.
Yeah.
And so,
and granted, like, I got mostly the condensed list on that.
Well, I sent you the
one
link
that
to the full list.
Yeah, I couldn't make the full list show up on my phone, so I couldn't look at it.
Well,
but the very fact that there was no Chili Peppers at all.
Right.
Like, I can kind of understand that, I guess, because, Chili Peppers aren't everybody's cup of tea. They're one of my favorite bands of all time, but they're not everyone's cup of tea. So, okay, I guess I can get past that. But no, Alanis, not You Oughta Know.
I love that song.
Right? You ought to know that song should be on that list. That's what you ought to know.
Yeah. So, I don't know. And, I mean, of course these articles are going to be biased, I guess. It's the bias of the person that wrote the article, really. Rob Sheffield is the person who wrote it. I would rather there be like some voting on it, some polling, and say these are what our readers have determined, because that to me would be more legitimate. But he's listed a lot of stuff that I've never heard of.
Yeah, like it was like number 38 was a Beastie Boys song that I have never heard of.
Right.
I just it was like Sure Shot. Yeah, Sure Shot.
Yeah.
It's at 17. I don't think I've heard that song ever.
It's Rob Sheffield's 50 favorite songs of the 90s is what that article should say. So anyway, let's move on. We'll talk a little bit more about music, and then we'll wrap it up for this week. I had this idea to talk about this on the podcast actually like the day before you sent me that link, and I was like, how serendipitous for you to send me that, because it's something that I've wanted to talk about. Let's talk about guilty pleasures, because you and I are, I would say, admittedly karaoke aficionados, and we're pretty unapologetic with the songs that we choose to do, because I mean, we'll do some stuff that's kind of out there. We'll sing songs that were made famous by women. We'll sing, like I'll do like old school shit like the Monkees, and I sing a lot of Styx and stuff
Tom
like that.
Jones. Get your lounge lizard
right.
On
but
bit.
What are some of those bands that you listen to that you might not necessarily want people to know?
Okay. Being a child of the late 80s and, being a child through most of the 90s, I was a huge fan in, 1996 of Hanson.
Okay.
Yeah. Haven't listened to Hanson in, almost 20
Apparently
years.
They still have a really dedicated following.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly. Because I watched a video a couple weeks back that was them performing Mbop,
As adults?
Yeah, as adults. They're very mature looking now.
Right.
And the one that was the middle kid that sang most of the songs that looked like a chick now looks like a reasonable male adult.
Oh, well, I mean, that's what puberty will do to you. As far as like guilty pleasures of mine, I really like musicals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my favorite musical being Oliver. My mom had that on VHS, and I watched it, and I know almost every song from that musical by heart. I really like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which, fun fact, that was never a Broadway musical.
Really?
That was actually written for film as a musical.
Huh.
I love that movie. If it's a musical, I'll watch it at least once. Mm-hmm. And I just happen to really like those things. And that's probably something that a lot of people might not think. Yeah. But as far as like guilty pleasure, especially lately, over the past year, and I'm going to tell you a band and you're going to be like, what? Because they kind of have like this teen following and kind of an emo following. But I really like the Black Veil Brides.
I don't even know.
You don't even know
the Black Veil Brides.
You're going to have to look them up because they've got this whole like glam rock thing, and it's all like these rock anthems, you know, and I think it would be really surprising to meet someone who's, you know, in their mid 30s actually admit to liking them. And I don't think I've ever even told anybody that I like this band, but they're not bad. And you should check out some of their videos. I think their first video was more like the emo screamo, but then they kind of evolved into this like they're like wear leather and it's all like just rock anthem, you know. And I'll play some
80s resurgence,
totally 80s style, totally 80s style, and I love it. I think it's great, and I've downloaded a few of their albums, and then about a year ago I was like trying to get back into like really working out, and that was like my soundtrack was I downloaded a bunch of their albums and listened to them a lot, like on the treadmill.
Well, I mean, if it's anthem style music, then that's kind of exactly what you need.
It's the fan base that's embarrassing because it's all like, you know,
tweens,
14-year-old girls that just absolutely love it. And I'm like, you don't even know about this kind of music though, because the kind of music that they're emulating, I mean, of course, it was tweens that loved it back then. So who knows? But there's a soft spot in my heart for like 80s style hair metal, you know? So they're kind of like have captured that. And I was just like, this isn't so bad. And I don't even know how I stumbled across them. I think I was reading some article or looking at some Reddit page about like lame fan people. And I think they posted a picture of the lead singer about just being, you know, whatever. And I was just like, I wonder how shitty their music is. And I was like, this actually isn't bad. I kind of like it. So yeah, that's like my guilty pleasure. If you want to hear a confession about me that you've never known before, people that know me from back in the day will know this, but I used to be a juggalo.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, not
swing,
anymore.
Swing, chop, chop, chop.
Not anymore. I've definitely grown out of that. I think this was like before I was even old enough to drink, and when I was a little,
I feel like you have to drink in order to listen to an ICP album.
When I was a little more socially awkward and reclusive, and more introverted, which, you know, over the years I've definitely come out of my shell a little bit, but yeah, I was kind of into that whole thing. And I remember when it ended for me was I worked at a music venue, and those guys, the whole ICP record label acts would come through regularly at a music venue that I worked with. And I remember Twisted came through, and this was whenever I worked there, and I'd seen them a bunch of times, and I'm standing in the balcony by myself and just looking out over the crowd, and all these trashy motherfuckers in clown makeup singing stupid fucking songs. And I think I was like maybe 23 at the time. And I was just like, this is retarded. And really haven't listened to them since. Every once in a while, I'll go to like the Psychopathic Records YouTube page and see if the new song or whatever, and just see if it's any good. But like I remember when like the Miracles thing,
oh my God,
I was like, oh, this is so stupid. I'm so glad I don't.
So
like,
bad.
oh, dude, I used to have like shirts and like Hatchet Men on my car and like hockey jerseys and all that crap. It was disgusting. It was horrible. And I'm embarrassed about it now, but I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, that's a part of my life. I mean, I'm not a juggalo now.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
There is hope out there.
There is personal growth available to you.
There is personal growth. And I think that's just, and maybe it all ties back, goes around full circle to that sausage party. Really. It's all about getting older and just realizing that certain things are childish, you know? But hey, let's leave it at that. Next week we'll talk about more Nintendo games and Star Wars and stuff like
all
that.
all kinds of we'll bring it back to the actual Dork Age podcast.
Actual childish things that we talk about as 30-year-old men. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. And have a good week.